welcome to my channel. My name is Rinette, and today we are going to learn how to make bustier top with cap. Yeah, so in this pattern we are following the previous pattern we made of the bodice. Yeah, so again in this pattern we have to put our material on fold like this, and the things you need to be with, you have to be with the material. So for me, I'm going to use this soft paper to cut the pattern. You need to be with a ruler. Today I don't have that ruler, I used for my daughter and I'm trying to show you that you can use anything around you. I'm going to be with a marker and a pen. I'm going to keep a scissor with me, and I'm going to have a tape measure. Here it is. This is a tape measure. So this means you can use things around you. I don't have the other curvy ruler, so I'm going to use this caplet of mine when I want to make a curve. So I think this is easy for everyone and you can achieve it at home. So what we are going to make, my material is not straight just here. I'm going to first make it straight by drawing a straight line. So this is the starting point. Now let me cut it off so that I make my material straight, and we start. Yeah, now this is it. Let me measure it. This is the vertical measurement. Yeah, I think it is going to be enough for us. And from down, you determine the depth, as in the how long you want your top to be. But this top of ours is going to be half top. It's going to be a strapless top, no sleeves, no strips. Yeah, it's just going to be having a cleavage here, stopping in the breasts. Yeah, upper, like on the line of the upper breasts. So, and it's going to be stopping down your waist. So you determine where your top you want it to be. So the length of the top is going to be 17. I'm going to use 17 as my full length, but you can make as long as you want. But still, even my material is not long enough, but it will help us. And the width, after knowing how to cut this pattern, you can save the material, because after you know what you need to keep. So it's the bust circumference divided by 4, then plus the allowance for the dart and even allowance for stitching. So let's get started. The measurements we are going to use, measurements here. Remember, when you're going to, after making the pattern, when you're going to make a design, you take measurements depending on what you're going to make. Now here we need the measurements for the upper bust, the bust, the lower bust, down your breasts, and the waist. Those are the measurements we want, but you can decide to have this bustier top when it's reaching down, or it's a whole dress. But I'm going to cut only the pattern. You can join other parts you want. Okay, so the upper bust we are going to use is, because I measured for me, Okay, let me first show you what you start with. This is it. Now you determine how you want your cleavage to be. Let me first draw for you what we are going to make. I draw it, I sketch it here on the paper so that you know what we were going to make. Something like this. This is the sleeve. Okay, this is the waistline. My marker is not thick. This is the cleavage. Yeah, and again it's going to be like this. Okay, this is what we are going to make. So now you first determine how deep you want your cleavage to be. The cleavage is the, like, it's a neckline to your breasts. Yeah, so for me, I choose, if you want it to be so deep, you make as long as 7, but for me I want it to stop just here. I don't want to show too much my breasts, so I'll make 6. So you get your tape measure, you mark 6, and you leave it as the upper part. We don't need this 6 because we don't have sleeves and all this of the upper part. Now we start here. Now what we are going to do, we are going to mark the upper bust. Remember, upper bust is that line just up your breasts. Okay, where, like, when you raise your arms, yeah, just in your armpit, when you press there, the tape measure is where the upper bust is. So my upper bust is 8. You mark the point. That's my upper bust. And then my bust is 10. I showed you how to measure yourself or to measure your customer. My bust is 8, and then my lower bust is 13. As in lower bust or under bust is 13, just the point under your breast. Yeah, but remember, what you don't have to forget is when you're taking measurements, if you're using bras, you have to take measurements when you have your bra on. And if you don't use, remember, the measurements you take when you have your bras, remember, the breasts are up, will be different from the measurements you take when you don't have a bra. Okay, the shape changes, the measurement changes. So you take your measurements when you're the way you want your body to be. So don't take measurement without a bra, then again you put on a bra, it won't be the same. So now I mark my waistline, as in this is where the top is going to stop. Remember, this 6 we chopped it off because it's the upper part, from the upper bust to the close back. We don't have that, we don't have the sleeves, okay, because the top is going to be strapless, just as I showed you here. Okay, no strips, no sleeves, it's going to be like this. Okay, so now what we are going to do, we are going to determine our dart. Where are we going to put our dart? And we draw the horizontal line. To determine our dart, we mark to get that line, we mark the from nipple to nipple is where we measure, and what we get we divide by 2. Okay, so for me my nipple to nipple is 9, and when I divide it by 2 I get 4.5. all right, then I mark it here, and I mark it here, so that I'm going to make a straight line downwards. Okay, this is where our dart is going to be when we are going upwards. Where's my Lula. Sorry. Oh, here it is. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to draw this line. It's 4.5 from the middle. Remember, our material is on fold. Okay, this is it now. So now, what we're going to measure now. Remember, we have our points. This is this is where we want our cleavage to stop, and this is the upper bust. Let me put the words. Upper bust. This is the bust, the wider part of the breast. This is the under bust. Okay. So now, to determine where to put our dart for this bustier top, we get the bust. My bust is 36. We subtract like the under bust. My under bust is 32. So you measure your bust and you subtract the under bust. Mine is 32, just under your bust, your breasts. So the answer you get now, 36 minus 32, the answer you get is 36 minus 32. The answer you get is 4. So this 4 you get, you divide it by 2. The answer you get is 2. And again, this answer you get, you divide it by 2. The answer you get is 1. I don't know if you're getting me. You get your bust minus the under bust, which is 4. That's why you divide it by 2. The answer you get, which is 2, you again divide it by 2. The answer you get 1. So this first answer you get, the 2, or any answer you get, is that you mark here the bust point. You mark it here the under bust. The answer you got in the first place was 2. After dividing 4 divided by 2, you get 2. You put your 2 this side of the line, okay, and you put 1 this side of the line, like this. You go on and mark it also up here, 2, and this side you put 1. Okay, this is it. So this is the way it is. It is bust minus under bust. For example, my bust is 36. 36 minus under bust is 32. The answer I get is 4. When you get that 4, you divide it by 2. The answer you get is 2. This 2 you put it this side of the that line, and again that 2 you divide it by 2. you get one and you put it this side of that line. Are you getting me, people? So this is it. After marking, this is where I got my 2 and also here. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to join the line from here to the bust and from here to the under bust, like this, to get the cup. So from there I'm going to get my cup plate that I used today and put it there. Okay, we need a ruler, but I don't have it for now. So this is what I'm going to do. From the bust I'm going to mark and join to where I put my 1. I don't know if this my plate will work for me. What else can I use? Okay, let me try using the plate. Okay, and you can also use it, you can use your hands. Okay, this is what I'm trying to do for you. Let me try to carve it with hands. And also this side I'm going to carve it to here. I'm trying to get the breast cup. Okay, this thing I also do it for the upper line. From the upper line I join it here to the bust. Are you seeing the cups forming? Also here I join it here. So this is it now. Okay, this is it. So when you get a ruler, next time I'll get a ruler, but because my student asked me about this, but I don't have a ruler, where am I now, and I wanted to share it with you. So this is what you get. So the next thing you do, you measure also 1 where there is the waist point. This is the waist point, we didn't touch it. So you put your 1 inside and you put your 2 outside. Where I call inside is this side of the fold, and this side is where I put 2. This side where is not folded is where I put 2. So now I have to join from the under bust to the waist. This is the waistline. This is the under bust. This is the bust. And this is the upper bust. And this line determines where your top you want to stop from the upper part. Okay, so now what I'm going to do, I'm going to join this 1 inch of mine to the waist and this 2 inch of mine to the waist. This is what I'm going to have now. Okay, this part is bigger than this because this one is on fold and this one is the middle part, this one. So now the next thing I'm going to do, I'm going to measure. I'm going to apply my measurements. My upper bust was 32. My upper bust was let me first measure my upper bust and see, but you can use your measurements. Okay, my upper bust is 34. 34 divided by 4. 34 divided by 34, 17. divide by 4, you get 8.5. So I'm going to put my 8.5 for the upper bust. Here is 8.5. You put it here. Then you measure what you've picked from here. Let's say it's see, like it's almost 1 inch. You put it here. That's when you're saving the material and you don't want to cut anyhow. You have to mind about this. And then you put your allowance. Let's use allowance of 2. So the bust we have 36, divide by 4, we have 9. Okay, plus 2 for allowance, and the small units for what? For the dart, just where the lines passed. Then the under bust is 32 divide by 4. This is 32, 16, 8. Okay, you get your 8, you mark it here. And then plus this 3 for the dart, you include it there. This is 3 for the dart, and plus 2 for allowance. Okay, we go to the waist. The waist, let's put 36, as in we put 28. 28 divided by 4, we get 7. So this is 7. This 7, we add our 3. This 3 for the dart, we mark it here, plus 2 for allowance. So this is it. Now we are going to mark to cut it out, and it will look like this. Okay, this is the allowance now. Now it's time to cut it out. So when we have to join this one where the dart stopped from up, and we join it, we make a curve to here to make our sleeve. Now this is the sleeve. Are you seeing it now? And this side, if you want it anyway, the shape, any shape you want. Now this is a straight shape, no curve at all, but you can choose to make it curvy. If you want to make sweetheart neck, you can choose to make it like this, depending on how deep you want it to be. Are you seeing it now? So you make the lines, remove the tips, because as I told you, our body is not straight, it is curvy and soft, so you can't make a straight line or straight tip. So this is it now, and I'm going to cut it out, and we see what we have for the front part. Pick your scissor. I'm cutting out sweetheart neck. This is our sweetheart neck now. And this is our sleeve. Okay, and like this. It's appearing like this depending on the measurements, but after fixing the dart inside, everything will turn and be okay. And we cut I leave a ½ inch from the waist for joining. So from here we've got to cut out this dart that we formed. Okay, this is our dart. Are you seeing now? I cut it out like this. Okay, this is the side part. And remember, when you put the material on fold, you get two pieces. Make it smooth. Okay, so apparently this is what we have. This is for the middle part. You see the sweetheart neck here. So we need to mark the what? We need to mark the points. Like we can put a notch, because remember the other side is not having anything written, so you can get confused. So you put a notch for the lines. And also this side, if I put it together with this, I put a notch, it will not disturb at all. This is the notch I put. I put also on this side, like this. So this is what we've got so far. And also here we put a notch. Like this. So that when you're stitching, you don't get confused. This is what we get. Okay, but after, if it's a material, after stitching, everything will come back to its position and the shape will be fine. So now let's cut the hind part. Remember, the hind part is not having breasts, so it's going to be easy for us. It's just easy. You determine where you want your hind part to stop. Now we start by marking the 4.5 for the dart. This is our 4.5 for the hind part dart, going horizontally. We get our ruler. The hind part is normal, nothing extra. Okay, so you make sure here is straight. So you determine where you want your hind part is going to begin. But from here, remember, this is the side part under your arm, yeah? So it means it's going to start here to down, but you can choose to make it like this, curvy, or any shape you want, but it has to be matching with this. Okay, so for the hind part, if you wanted a okay, wait, zip allowance, let's leave the zip allowance in the first place. We leave 1.5 for zip allowance, 1.5, before we put another thing. Okay, but you make sure the allowance is equal so that it doesn't add the extra inches. So now this is zipper allowance. Are you seeing me? Now you will mark your dot line, horizontal dot line. This is 4.5 all over. Okay, so now I'm going to determine how deep I want my what? Okay, from the chest line I marked the upper bust, I marked in 8. So you get your 8, you mark it here, then you mark your 18 for the size of the top. So I'm going to cut this out because I want, this is what I want, the length I want for the behind top, the hind side. Now I'm going to apply my, remember the dart for the behind stops at the where at the upper bust in the chest. So the dart for the hind part, it's normal, it stops at the upper bust. Okay, and here it's always 1 inch. So you place your 1 inch and you make half inch each side. You mark it, and you mark it also this side. Then you draw a straight line like this, just simple. Okay, this one is just going to be simple. This is the dart for the hind part. It stops on the upper bust. From behind it stops from the on the chest. So now what you're going to do, you're going to put your measurements for the hind part. From the chest you mark from the chest, from the upper bust it was 8, I marked to the bust point, it was 10. Then I marked to the lower bust, it was 13, and my waist was 18. Then I leave this half for the allowance of stitching. I draw my lines. Like this. This zip allowance, you don't tamper with it, you don't include it when you're measuring. It's just allowance. Okay, after putting it there, you leave it there. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to apply my measurements. Okay, from the upper chest it was 34 divided by 4, 34 divided by 4, 34 divide by 17, then divide by 4. It's 8.5. You put your 8.5 for the upper bust. Okay, then 9 for the bust, but you also include this inch which you measured here, like the measurements for here. You measure the units here. It's like a quarter an inch, so it's 9 and like a quarter. And then for the lower bust it was 32. Divide by, you get your measuring tape, 32 divide by 4, 16, then 8. You get your 8, you put here, you mark. Again, you measure what's here. It's less than an inch, you include it. Okay, you go to the waist. We said it's 28. Divide by 4, you get 7. This 7 plus this 1 inch for the dart, you mark it. Then we are going to put the allowance, which is 2 and 2, like that. So this is what we get after marking. The hind part is easy. But it's that for the hind part you don't cut it out. Okay, you just do like this and you stitch the way we stitch the dart, the normal dart, like this, and you stitch it. In the next video I will show you when I'm stitching this. Okay, this is how it comes out like after. This is it. So thank you so much for watching. Thank you for watching from the start. Hope it has helped you. Please comment, like and share. Subscribe, please, my friends, subscribe. And that's enough for today. I love you so much and God bless you. Goodbye.